Hello and good evening, and welcome to Hartford Community College's first virtual parent orientation. My name is Evo Johnson, and I am the coordinator for new student enrollment at Hartford Community College, and I am your host for this evening's festivities. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening. We hope that you get all of your questions answered this evening and perhaps even learn something even new about our fantastic college. So now what I would like to do is introduce you to Kelly Otis, who is the Director for Admissions, and she would like to say a few words. Kelly?
Thank you, Evo. And as Evo said, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for spending your evening with us for our first virtual parent orientation. This orientation is actually kicking off our orientation series for our incoming fall 2020 class. Starts off this evening with this event. The next 3 days, we will be having drive-through pep rallies throughout the county. Tomorrow, we will be having a drive-through pep rally at Hartford Community College's campus at the APG/FCU Arena parking lot. It is entrance 2 off of Thomas Run Road, and that will run from 4 to 7 tomorrow night. And it's just a great way for new students to see some friendly faces and get some great gear and freebies and good information as well. We will then do it on Wednesday from 11 to 1 at Edgewood High School, and then on Thursday from 11 to 1 at North Hartford High School. And all these events will be held in the parking lot, practicing social distancing, so no getting out of the cars, I'm sorry, but they're going to be great events. Following that, we will then have our virtual new student orientations that will be happening in August. The first one is Tuesday, August 11th. That will run from 3 to 5. And then on Thursday, August 13th, and that will run from 10 to 12. So that's a great way for new students to kind of get some live interaction, hear from our wonderful staff, and also we will have some current students available that will be able to answer your questions. Even though we aren't able to do things like we normally would in person, this is a great way during this pandemic times to kind of get all that information out. So a lot of good things to come up, but we thank you so much for being here tonight for the parent orientation. Just to give you a bit of a layout of what we're going to do this evening, we are going to start off with expectations and success for college learning and parent support success. We will then transition to student support and success and outreach. We will have representatives from financial aid here to talk about FAFSA and scholarships and all things financial aid. We will then have a video that we are going to show you that your new students will see at the virtual new student orientation, just so that way you know what they're seeing. We will then have some time for additional information, worrying about the honors program and the radio station and dropping and withdrawing from classes, all kinds of good information that will be good to know as a parent. Then we're going to cover how to transfer so students can transfer successfully. And we actually have Lindsay from Tune here this evening that will be able to talk about those specific programs that we have with Towson University. After that, we will be having an overall Q&A, and as we're going through this presentation this evening, there is a question area in the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. So as questions come up, feel free to send those in. We will make sure to address them throughout our event this evening. And then at the very end, we will be doing a virtual tour. So even though we can't be physically on campus, you'll be able to see what Hartford looks like and where we will hopefully be, cross our fingers, in the spring, as long as everything continues to do well in the state of Maryland. So that's basically all I have for you guys. Thank you so much again for coming and hanging out with us this evening. Evo, I'm going to pass it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Excellent. So we've got a lot of information to cover tonight. Hopefully you have a writing utensil and a pad or a laptop to be able to jot down all this information. But before we get started, I would like to introduce our amazing panelists. They are the people that are going to be able to answer every question imaginable during this event tonight. So first person I would like to introduce is Dr. Patrick Elliott.
Hi, Evo. Thank you very much. My name is Patrick Elliott. I'm the Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management at Hartford Community College. That just means I provide leadership and support for the admissions, registration, financial aid, and testing areas. So your new student is working with several groups across campus to get started, and a lot of them are the enrollment management team. On behalf of Dr. Jacqueline Jackson, our interim president, and Laura Henninger, our board of trustees, we want to, Chair, we want to welcome you and for being with us tonight, and thank you for choosing Hartford. We know you and your students have a lot of choice when it comes to college options, and we very much think you made the right choice by selecting Hartford. And we also know that you, as the parent of a new student, are an important part of that process and relationship. So hopefully having this parent orientation will help you feel valued and part of the process. If you have any questions, a lot of my colleagues and teams probably will be able to answer them. But if you ever can't get an answer, please feel free to reach out directly to me. My name is Patrick Elliott, and my email address is paelliott@hartford.edu. Thank you, Evo, and I'll be back in a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. Next, I'd like to introduce Jeannie Goss.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jeannie Goss, and I'm an academic advisor in the admissions department here at Hartford Community College. One of the things that I do and that I love about my job is that I get to help a lot of the incoming students get started, through the application process and really ready for registration. So certainly here, to help in any way that I can.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeannie. I'd like to introduce Dr. Lisa Tittle. Hi.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Lisa Tittle. I'm an English professor at Hartford Community College. I've been working at HCC for almost 20 years. A wonderful institution. I'm so glad you've chosen to be part of it. My daughter went through Hartford Community College and moved on to Salisbury and graduated with her degree in communications. So I know that your educational journey is going to be, with your child, is going to be a success as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Christian Ritchie. Hey, can't hear you.
Hi, Evo. Thank you. My name is Christian Ritchie. I am a financial aid specialist here at Hartford Community College. I've been working in financial aid for 5 years, and I'm also HCC alumni. So I also attended Hartford. I'm here to answer any questions you have about financial aid today and give you an overview. So I look forward to speaking with you today.
Awesome. Thank you, Christian. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Bill Elliott.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Elliott. I'm the coordinator for student development at Hartford. I'm in my 16th year at the college. My main responsibility is coordinating our career development programs.
You need to get closer to the mic, Bill.
My main responsibility is coordinating our career development classes and also serve as an academic advisor here at Hartford. So I'm one of the people that's with your student from the beginning to the end, from orientation all the way to graduation.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Next, I'd like to introduce Wayne Hepler.
Hi there. I've been teaching for 30 years, started when I was 12. I'm a mass comm professor here at the college, and I've actually worked in the media as well. I've been at private colleges, I taught grad school, I taught at public universities, and I taught at community college. And one of the things I like to say to your sons and daughters, as well as you, is as much as community colleges may get billed as kind of 13th grade or an extension of high school, we teach at community colleges because we love to teach. We really believe in teaching, and it's not second grade or something that we took as sort of a sidelight. This is something our heart is into. And if whatever situation has brought you to Hartford Community College has any doubts in your mind, we'd like to prove you wrong. The proof is in the pudding, of course, but we hope we can start tonight with good answers to your questions, and we thank you for coming along.
Awesome. Thank you, Wayne. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce Lindsay Robinson.
Hi, thanks, Evo. I'm Lindsay Robinson, and I actually work across the street from Hartford Community College at Towson University in Northeastern Maryland, more affectionately known as TUNE. So I'm going to chat with you later this evening about the transfer process. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. Fantastic. So that's our entire group of panelists. They are very well educated and will be able to help you out with any question that you may have tonight. So fantastic, onward and upward. So a couple of housekeeping notes that I would like to address. Again, Kelly touched on this. If you have any questions throughout this process, if you look on the right side of your screen, you'll see questions and or chat box. If you go ahead and click on that, add your question, and at some point we will answer it either during the session that we're in or later on in the question and answer, the Q&A session later on this evening. So feel free to submit any of your questions during that process. So let's get started. So the first part of our event, let's talk about the expectations, the success for college learning, and how you can support your students. So I would like to welcome Dr. Lisa Tittle, Professor Bill Elliott, and Professor Wayne Hepler. Come on down.
Come on down.
Yeah.
Bill, good, you made it. Okay. We would like to do this in bullets so that you don't get stuck as a parent or a student for that matter with rambling conversation. That's pretty hard to do in a virtual setting. So I hope we do justice to that and keep it bite-sized for you. And we very much want to get to your questions too. So let me see how well I can be bite-sized here. We're talking about attendance and participation. I'm not going to bore you by saying your student is expected to show up. Yeah, they are. I think the tricky part now is the online world that COVID is bringing to most university classrooms. Here's what I would like to say that I hope is not beating a dead topic for you. Online takes some discipline, and it's not what everybody was expecting to do or is given to do. So I urge you as a parent or guardian to ask, hey, what's next? Hey, what's on your schedule? When is such and such coming? Without being a nag about it. Because part of the difficulty we had in the spring, when we had the transition that was definitely not expected, was chasing after those people who expected face-to-face, and now we're not doing as well in the online environment. This is not to discourage you and say, oh my goodness, the online environment. We're very much adapting to that, and we want to help you adapt to that too. So keep an eye on your student and help them with that extra discipline that comes with doing a class that isn't always showing up in the classroom. So far as participation or grading goes, professors do that very differently from faculty member to faculty member, but generally speaking, it is a part of the grade, big or little, and you'll see that straight out on a student's syllabus. So take a look at what your student has from the professor and what's expected of them so you know too, and you can help with that accountability part of this part of what they're doing in the classroom. That's it for my bullets.
I'll pick it up now with FERPA. Has anyone heard of FERPA? Raise your hand. Just kidding. FERPA is the Federal Educational Right to Privacy Act. If you're familiar with HIPAA in the medical world, FERPA is sort of the higher ed equivalent of that. And under FERPA, we cannot release any academic records to anyone without a student's permission. And it doesn't matter how old that student is. Part of my job is to do advising for students who are under 16. I've had students who were 13 and 14 years old, and I have to get their permission before I can talk to their parents. The good thing about FERPA is it prevents anyone with bad intentions from getting a hold of academic records. The bad thing is sometimes parents don't have the access that they're used to. You can't go onto Edline and check grades and those types of things. So my recommendation is really to have a conversation with your students. Let them know that you're interested. Let them know that you do care about what's going on. And if they care to, they can share that information with you. They can fill out a FERPA form, which is located on ALNet under My Academic Life, under Registration and Records. They can fill that form out, turn it into the registrar, and we would then have permission to speak to you should that arise. But again, my recommendation, have a good, honest, open talk with your students. Open those lines of communication. That way FERPA doesn't become an issue.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about Blackboard and the syllabus because they kind of go hand in hand. Blackboard is our learning management system. And since we're fully online this year, that will be the key way that your student will interact with the course. We do have some minimal standards at HCC for how faculty are to set up their Blackboard pages, but because each of us are slightly different and teach different courses, they will vary a bit depending on the professor or the subject matter. So it's very important for your student to become integrally involved with how Blackboard works, to check the course content, to check for announcements. That's how the professor will communicate with students, to look to see if video has been uploaded, to make sure that their work when they hand it in has gone into the correct drop box. So make sure that your student is taking the online tutorial for Blackboard that we have available through our website. And there's also like a little mini course that you can take so that you're familiar with the major parts of Blackboard. And if at any time your student is confused or unsure about how to access something or where to find particular pieces of information or a due date or how to hand something in or formatting, that's an opportunity for him or her to reach out to the professor and send an email and ask for some assistance. Going along with that is also the syllabus. I tell my students that the syllabus is kind of like your Bible or guide for the course. It includes the name of the textbook, the course objectives, the course schedule, how your grade is going to be calculated, lots of good information, and it's kind of a contract between myself and the student. So if there's any kind of question about when things are due or what's going to happen or what chapter we're reviewing or when do we see the video or when do we log on into the library, all that information is housed in the syllabus. And quite often, because we're now in an online learning environment, that information is also repeated throughout the Blackboard course. So those two pieces of information go hand in hand for student success. You should always contact the professor if at any time your child is confused about what to do or where to go or how to handle a certain situation.
And I'll wrap it up because often the syllabus will tell you about things like off-campus communication and office hours, which are obviously virtual office hours these days after COVID. So if you're wondering how to reach somebody, especially a professor, that's where you're going to find it. Last word here on textbooks, ebooks, etc. You parents, you students are always interested in how to save a buck. And depending on what is offered by the faculty member, you'll find these books at sometimes very different prices depending on what you get. Rental book, used book, you probably want to stay away from new if you can help it, and ebooks. Something besides new can be considerably cheaper, and obviously you'll want to go that route if you can. Last word on that, if you get a rental book, which can be a great deal, be aware of the end deadline for turning that book back in. This is not something instituted by us as a college, but by the publisher. If your student should miss the deadline for returning a rental book, and it's healthy enough, you have some pad there, you get stuck with the wholesale cost of that book. It can be pretty steep. So be watching those deadlines, try to help your student be accountable, and we'll answer your questions later in the game. Eva?
If I could just add one thing to that, Wayne, about textbooks, is also you want to look to see if there's an online portion that goes along that textbook. So some of the courses that I teach, there's also an online component, and that requires a code that has to be entered into that online web portal. So if you're buying a used textbook, it may not always have that code, and that would be an additional charge. So those are all things that you have to consider when you're choosing the type of textbook for your course.
Thanks, Lisa.
Sure. So I think our next topic of discussion is the student success, parent support success.
Yes. Hi, I'm back.
Okay.
So guys, thank you very much. That's great information. Awesome. One thing I did want to make certain everyone knew is that this event is being recorded. So if you have to depart for a few minutes or if you miss something, feel free to come to our website. It's www.harford.edu/learn-more. That's LEARN, no space, MORE. So harford.edu/learn-more, and you will find our recorded session that we have here this evening. Excellent. So moving on to student support and outreach. I would like to welcome to the stage Miss Jeannie Goss, and returning because he's just that awesome, Mr. Bill Elliott.
That's a lot to live up to, Evo. Back again, everyone. Jeannie and I are going to talk to you about a number of the many services that are available to your students. One thing we want you to understand right off the bat is that students are not in this alone. One thing I like to think about Harford is that if a student has a question, many people are going to step up and answer. However, we need the student to ask the question. The people that will answer it are some of the people we're going to talk about now. So the first group I'd like to talk about is Advising Career and Transfer Services. That's a group that is very near and dear to my heart. That's where I work. And I'm going to talk about advising first. Academic advising is a relationship between an advisor and a student in which both work collaboratively to plan for a student's future. That could be academic planning in terms of what major they're interested in. Don't be surprised if your students change majors. It happens quite frequently. Okay. It could also mean just talking about, okay, how do we approach things now that everything is online? What do I do? Academic advisors can help with that. Where do I want to transfer? What program do I want to transfer for? That's an academic advisor's purview as well. So we're there to answer all of these questions for you. Every student is assigned an academic advisor that will remain with that student throughout the course of their time here at Harford. What we like about that model is it allows us to really get to know the students well. Okay, and we find that the better we get to know the students, the better we can help them, the better we know them, the more they trust us, the more they'll come to us, and we'll be able to help them from any bumps in the road that may happen. And there will probably be a bump in the road here or there, a tough class, or a decision about whether to withdraw or something like that. And those are the types of things that academic advisors can help with. In career services, we're here to help students figure out what they want to do with their lives. And this is very near and dear to me because one of the main ways to do that is through student development courses. And these are courses designed to help students map out their future, helps them find out who they are, what they want to be, what they want to do. We look at their values, their skills, their interests. Then we look at the world of work itself. What kind of jobs are out there? How do I know if a career is scheduled to grow and prosper or not? How do I make that decision? These are all things that come under career advising. These are things that we offer as well. We also offer and help to coordinate internship and cooperative education programs for students in many majors, which is a wonderful way for a student to get some practical work experience while they're earning academic credit. And we help with job search techniques too. We help students develop a resume. That could be for transfer, that could be for a scholarship application, could be for a part-time or full-time job. We help students prepare for interviews and things of that nature. So there's a lot that we can do, a lot that we can offer students in that regard. Transfer services, just as the name implies, we're the people to talk to when it's time to transfer. A little bit later in the evening, we're going to talk about articulation agreements, so I won't get into it now. But basically, we're the people that make sure that your students know where to transfer, that their courses will transfer, and that it's as seamless a process as possible. Next service I'd like to talk about is disability and student intervention services. Disability services are there to help any students who may have an educational, cognitive, psychological, or physical disability. And their job is to make sure that the students have the resources they need so they can do well in the courses. Generally speaking, if a student had an IEP in high school, it's worth their while to speak to a disability support services person as well here at college. And again, the whole goal is to get them the tools they need to be successful. I've found that some students hesitate a little bit where this is concerned. They don't want to continue receiving services. They want to do things on their own. And while I respect that, please encourage your students, if they need these services, use them. They're not an unfair advantage. They're not giving you a leg up on anyone else or anything else. They're there to even the playing field for you so you have the tools necessary to succeed. Also, our intervention services. Myself and a number of others on the staff here serve as intervention specialists as well. If a student has a problem, be it personal, academic, whatever it may happen to be, we can respond to help that student and refer them out to resources. And while that usually happens while students are on campus, we are still available now online. We can meet with a student via Teams. We can meet with a student via phone and discuss any problems they may have. I encourage you to tell your students to look at the All About Me page, and they're going to find some resources on there should they find they need a little extra help. And the Learning Center. Very few people make it through college without needing some sort of additional instruction, be that with a tutor, be it with a learning group, whatever it may happen to be. The Learning Center is here with certified tutors to help with pretty much any courses that we have. All a student has to do is ask. Student contacts the Learning Center, and even now in this online environment, we have online tutors as well. So again, sometimes students hesitate, they don't want to ask for help, but please encourage them to do so if necessary. Tutoring is not only the difference between a D and an F, sometimes the tutoring is the difference between an A and a B. Okay? So please encourage your students to utilize this service. Yeah.
Much like Bill said, we're just gonna keep talking about the student services, and even though we're not there, or some of us aren't there, everybody is still working and here to help. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the library. The way students are going to access the library at home is through their ALNet account under the library tab. They have their own specific tab. So the cool things about the library tab in ALNet is that any student has a way to search databases, to find resources that they might not have at home, and they might not be able to get to a public library, but they're there to use online and virtually during this time. And even when the campus reopens, the library will continue to have these online resources available to students. There's also citing codes and references there. Coming from high school to college can have a lot of changes, and I'm sure Dr. Till and the professors will have some more things to say about this as they work with your students. But there's citing codes and references there to use as a resource for any student. So while they're writing papers, if they need to remember how to cite a code, they can always go there. They just need to remember, oh yes, I can go to ALNet and I will be able to find this information. Librarians have chat, if they ever can't find something. So there's certain times of the day the librarians are available via a live chat. And then the library hours are on there as well. So when the campus is open, the library hours can be a little bit different from the regular building. So it's always just a good place to go and double check that the library would be open before you would take a trip to the library. Moving on to the My College Success Network. This is an awesome program that is designed for all students, anybody that's interested, and it really is comprised of 4 separate events. So there's Soar to Success, which is a lot of cultural and social activities with highlight on African American events. They also have some road trips and really, again, just really focus on the different social and cultural things that impact the students today and society today. It also is comprised of iPrep, which is a week-long event that takes place before the semester. It's a way for students to go through some pretty intense schooling. It's a couple hours a day, and then they have the ability to retest to maybe place out of a transitional English or a transitional math course, or just to kind of get back into the swing of school again. So it's really just designed to take your English and your math level up a little bit so that, potentially we could adjust any student's schedule so that they would be able to go to a higher level class. There's also academic coaching and then student success advising. comprised in the My College Success Network. So they really get that one-on-one connection with an advisor, all wonderful people, and they really just love to see these students soar. I mean, the stories that I hear about the My College Success Network and the appreciation from the students is astounding. And the faculty that is involved with it is passionate, and it's definitely something to maybe mention to your incoming student to look at and see if they'd be interested in.
Back to you, Evo.
Awesome. Here I am, guys. Thanks so much. That was some great information.
Very
Hope you
welcome.
guys jotted all that down. All right, so moving on. So now we're moving into the financial aid aspect of our presentation. So I know there are some of you out there screaming, "Show me the money!" And we're about to do that for you. So I'd like to introduce Christian Ritchie, who is here with financial aid, and she's going to offer some information about receiving some assistance for your college education. Christian?
Hey there.
Hey.
Yes, I'm here. I'm going to share my screen with you guys.
One moment.
All right. So I'm just going to give a brief overview of the programs that we offer. One second. Can you guys see it? And
Christian.
Yes.
you can, okay. I don't want to hone in on a specific topic because I realize that many of you parents might be in different levels of the process. So I'm going to cover a little bit of everything. We'll talk a little bit about everything, and then later you can ask questions that might be more specific to your situation. So I'm Christian, and I am, again, the financial aid specialist here at Hartford. One of the programs that I manage is called the Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship Program, which is a state program. That's the one I'm mainly responsible for, but I'm going to talk about other aid as well today, so that you're aware of all the opportunities that are available to you and your student. Because there's different types of financial aid. There's loans, scholarships. I'm going to talk about HCC scholarships today, how to apply, the work study program that we offer, and then the grants, the federal grants and the state grants that are available. So the FAFSA, many of you should hopefully at this point have already done the FAFSA if you have a student coming to us in the fall. But if not, I just wanted to remind you that you could still apply for the application and you could still find out what you might qualify for. So if you haven't done it, a lot of parents assume because of income that they are not eligible for anything. And by not filling it out at all, you could miss out on some opportunities from either HCC or the state of Maryland. So I just wanted to show you a visual of what the application looks like. Again, many of you may have already done it, but if you haven't, this is the website. This is the format. Our school code is here, 002075. And the FAFSA, it stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. So when you're applying, there is no cost to apply. It's a free application. If you're ever charged a fee or asked to pay a fee, then you might be on the wrong website. So this is the FAFSA, and the state of Maryland Higher Education Commission, they offer scholarship and grant opportunities to students as well. So where if you're not eligible for federal opportunities through the FAFSA, the state will contact you or your student and say, hey, you're potentially eligible for the College Promise Scholarship based on your FAFSA information. So that's why it is important to fill out the FAFSA, because the state of Maryland has their own FAFSA deadline, which is March 1st. March 1st is always the state deadline. It's a firm deadline. This is their website, what it looks like. They have multiple opportunities and it tells you the criteria for them. So this is a helpful resource. If you haven't checked out this site, you want to check out this site, you can sign up for text alerts, email alerts, so that they can reach out to you and you can stay in the know about programs and how they're changing and the change of deadlines, especially during this crisis. I recommend signing up, you or your student, for email alerts from the state of Maryland each year. And HCC scholarships. We also have so many scholarships for different things, GPA, major, based on you went to high school, to name a few. We have a scholarship application. Unfortunately, the deadline for fall 2020 has passed because it was in May, but the next deadline for spring, I wanted to let you know, is December 20th, 2020. So if you want to write that down, the next deadline for scholarships, HCC scholarships, is December 20th. So you do have opportunities there. Some of them require that the FAFSA be on file, some of them do not. But that website you can check out, and I'll give you some more resources to see what scholarship opportunities are there for you and where you can look. Student loans, I saved towards the end because we don't typically recommend loans, especially at the community college level, if you can avoid it. So we recommend the FAFSA, the state, and HCC scholarships before applying for a loan. Student loan, of course, is a type of financial aid that has to be paid back. And the types of loans that we offer are, we have 3 loans: subsidized, then unsubsidized, and plus loans. Plus loans, the parents apply for, and it's based on your credit. Unsubsidized means it's accruing interest while you're in school. And then the subsidized is the government's paying the interest while you're in school. So we don't determine which one you qualify for, the FAFSA does. But like I said, if you apply for FAFSA and you get a loan offer, let's say they offer you one or both, you are not required to accept any loans. You get the offer, you could leave the loans where they are, but if you decide to accept a loan, that's where you will work with us and apply, fill out the application, accept the loan, you have to go through like a short counseling to learn about the loan and how to pay it back and what happens when you don't pay it back. So there's a whole acceptance process. Don't assume by doing the FAFSA you're accepting the loan, because there's more paperwork for the loan. You could apply, get the offer, and leave it there. Federal Work Study Program, we do have here available for your students. FAFSA must be done so we can see if your student qualifies. And it is a job opportunity, a great opportunity for students to work on campus, earn a little money, gain some work experience. So after school, if they don't have a resume, they can use this experience on their resume. So, but it's not available for fall 2020 because of the pandemic. And there's just no way to monitor students working from home at this time. So, but you can still, if you're interested at the end, or you want to ask questions, or if your student is interested, you could still be considered and be put on a wait list for spring 2021. So yes, that's not available, but I wanted you guys to know that that resource is there for your students to get a job. Hopefully we'll be back on campus next year. Payment plan information, again, I don't know if if you're already on a payment plan or you need to know how to pay the bill. I wanted to provide a little information about the payment plan and how to go through Owlnet and pay your bill. The cashiers are available by phone and by email if you have questions specifically related to your bill. This isn't really I'm not in control of setting this up, but I just wanted to mention the payment plan and show you the dates that you can enroll and sign up. if you need to, because the payment is due now for fall 2020. And let's see. I wanted
Hey,
to give
Christian, can I interrupt real quick?
Sure.
This is Patrick. I just wanted to add that where we are in the payment cycle is when you register for your classes, that initial registration date, you'll have 10 days to pay. And so that'll give you 10 days, either sign up for a payment plan, pay off your bill, or make sure you have financial aid to cover it. So I just wanted to add a little bit more detail there.
Oh, yes. No, I appreciate it. Thank you, because I'm dealing with financial aid questions daily. So thank you for that, Patrick. Yes. And this is just some resources I wanted to provide, because it's kind of hard to say the websites, but this gives you the opportunity to take a picture and later view these resources related to financial aid and find out more information on your own. I put our email address. We are available through email, and we are available right now through online chat. If you want to speak with us, financial aid representatives are available. I know it's hard. Some parents are trying to reach us by phone right now, and there isn't really a direct phone number to reach us, but we are monitoring our email box daily. So if you have our email address, if you don't already, you want to follow up with us later or tomorrow for something that I didn't cover, or if you think of something tomorrow, I wanted you to have this sheet of resources. And that concludes my presentation. I'm still available for the Q&A at the end if you want to get into detail about anything else. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Christian. I am going to switch us over. Fantastic. That was great information. So next part of our presentation, we would like to present a video. Hold one moment. We'd like to present a video. So this is the video that we typically have all new students watch, and we think it's important that these students watch this video. And so we also felt that it was important for parents and guardians to watch this video as well. It addresses and focuses on the opioid epidemic that is impacting our families and friends in the county and nationwide. This video touches upon real situations, real lives, and actually some real positive outcomes. So we'd like to share that. Hold one moment.
So I first started using opiates when I was about 15 years old. So it was between 8th grade and 9th grade, I think, that I first got introduced to prescription pills. The first time I did it, I just took it, and then I moved to snorting it, and I snorted pills for a couple of years, and then around the time I was 18, maybe 19, I started shooting pills, and I think that I did that for a couple more years before moving on to heroin.
I first started using opiates at the age of 18. It was the summer going into my college year, and I really got into opiates that summer. A lot of OxyContin. I couldn't stop. It was a really good feeling that I just couldn't. I'd never felt anything like that before. So I went to college that year, and I was removed from the opiates, but I picked up drinking a lot more, as well as other drugs and substances. So that year I failed out of my college and I came home to Harford County, and I didn't know what to do. So I started doing a lot more.
For the first time, I felt like I could just do anything. And it
in the end, it almost costed me my life. Opiates became a huge problem with me. By the time I was 14, I was fully blown addicted to them.
When I was about 18 or 19, I did start to have some consequences. And first consequences I had were my little sister found out I was doing drugs, and her and I were in the same high school, and she was really embarrassed, and she stopped talking to me, and I would pass her in the hallway and we wouldn't say anything to each other. And I just like knew that she was embarrassed and ashamed. And that was really, really tough. I moved out of my parents' house because things were so tense. I wasn't getting along with my family at all. And things really kind of went downhill very quickly after that. I started getting in legal trouble. I wasn't really able to hold a job. I was in school, but I was not really showing up. I did graduate high school and go to community college, but for those years, I really just was kind of a body in a seat.
I lost everything. By the time I got sober at 25, I was homeless. I didn't have a dollar to my name. I didn't have any hope. I didn't have any friends. I was completely isolated. I just wanted to die, and I really didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn for help. I thought my life was over. I didn't see any future in the route I was going, but I didn't know how to get out of it. And that was the scariest thing, was feeling that nothingness and not knowing how to make it stop.
I spent nights in ERs and trauma centers from car accidents. I mean, by that time, my parents wanted nothing to do with me. They wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. They just wanted me to get help. And if I wasn't going to get help, they were done. I pushed everyone away because I thought I was just hurting myself. But the reality of it all was that I just didn't know what love was anymore. The only thing that I loved was that drug.
So what brought me to recovery, after a long time of going in and out of rehab, in and out of a couple of halfway houses, I had gone back to rehab for, I think, the 9th or 10th time, and I had gone to a halfway house in North Carolina. I relapsed while I was in North Carolina, got kicked out of the halfway house that I was in, and my parents happened to be down visiting me right around the time that I got kicked out. And this particular time, when I asked them to take me back to Maryland, my dad said no. And I remember watching them leave North Carolina and not really I didn't know anybody down there. I didn't have a car. I really didn't have much money. And I thought, I really am screwed, and I didn't know what to do.
What brought me to recovery was wanting to die. I had, like I said, no hope, nothing left, and I didn't know where to turn, and I didn't know what to do. So I finally just put my hands up and asked for help. I asked someone, my grandmother, to help me out, and grandma's always there. So she said, "What do we do?" And I said, "I don't know." And I started picking up the phone, and I just called around, and luckily someone was there to help me. This time I understood that it would be a process, and I believed that there was hope this time, because I had experienced so much pain, it couldn't have gotten any worse.
What finally brought me to recovery was overdosing and landing myself in an ICU unit for 2 weeks on life support. There was nurses and everyone just came into the room, and I saw my dad in the recliner across the room. And seeing him for the first time, like through everything, he just started crying. And for me, it still wasn't enough, right? So I spent the next week in that hospital, and the doctor came in. He worked there for 38 years, and he said, "I've never seen a case as bad as yours. If you don't get help, you're going to die within the next month."
I come from the Office of Drug Control Policy from Harford County, but I bring a couple different things here today. The biggest thing is I had a child that I lost due to an overdose in 2015. His drug addiction started in 2010 after he was prescribed pain medication from being in a car accident. And after he did that, he was hooked on the pills because the fact that they made him feel better. And the thing of it is that I have been in the medical field for 37 years. riding volunteer fire and EMS, as well as working in a medical office. And I didn't have any clue. So I started educating myself, and in 2015, after he passed away, I started volunteering with the Office of Drug Control Policy. I use a term, especially since I've come to the Office of Drug Control Policy, called the ripple effect. And the ripple effect is just that. When you throw a pebble into a pond, that ripple comes all the way into the shores. And unfortunately, those that have substance abuse disorder think that they are just affecting themselves, when in reality, it affects everyone. It affects the families, it affects the friends, it even affects those that are in society. EMS is finding that they're going back to the same homes over and over and over again. And that's very stressful for them. It's hard because they feel that those people are just using just to get high. But the problem is that addiction and drugs are a completely different thing. It's a disease. The struggle for someone under substance abuse disorder is that every day they have to think about not using drugs. And it's very difficult for them. It's a struggle for them on a daily basis. The good thing is that we have the ability to move past that. There is hope now in Harford County and many other counties in the state of Maryland. In Harford County, we have numerous resources that we can reach out to. Unlike many years ago when they were very limited, we have lots of things. ACR is part of that, the Harford Crisis Center, which is now the Kleins Crisis Center. We also have the health department where you can reach out to. The Office of Drug Control Policy can provide resources for anybody who needs help. But the best thing is that we have sober livings that are here in this county, which are available for those either from this county or from other counties, which really does help those that are struggling with addiction. It keeps them in line and keeps them going straight, and it gives them the resources that they need and the support that they need to continue in their sobriety.
You know, I just like have this life that I never thought that I would have. You know, I have these amazing relationships with my family today. My sister that didn't talk to me for years, I think 3 years we didn't talk. Her and I have a great relationship again. I can't tell you how many friends that I have that I've made through my recovery journey. And that feeling of freedom is just something that I never want to be without again.
Recovery today has given me a life beyond my wildest dreams, and it sounds like a cliche, but it's really true. I'm back in school now, and when people say, what do you want to be? I really don't know, but the beauty is I have options now versus before I had nothing at all. I get to be an uncle, I get to be a boyfriend, a son, a brother. All those things were absolutely impossible before. I'm able to do things now that I never thought I would be able to do it. For a long time, people kept saying you have potential, and today I'm exceeding that potential that people thought I had, which is, I mean, it's just such a gift to be able to do that.
I get to be a daughter today. I get to be an aunt, and I'm reliable. People come to me for advice on a daily basis, which is something I never thought I could give. I never thought I could just deserve such a spot that I have today. I've been through so much, and for the first time, I feel freedom. Today, I have self-love and self-respect, which is something I never thought I would ever earn back.
There is a lot of help available, and there are a lot of people that are sober and that want to help you. You can go to Alcoholics Anonymous. There's Celebrate Recovery. There's all kinds of different treatment options out there. You can go to rehab. You can go to an outpatient program. You can go to methadone maintenance, Suboxone maintenance. There are just so many options.
Once you finally ask for help, the door is just open of people who want to help you. And that's the thing. No one wants to see you down and out. No one wants to see you homeless. No one wants to see you die. So once you finally ask someone to help, they do. I mean, they just come running.
The best thing you can do is just reach out, and if you have a problem, people are there more than willing to help you.
Okay. So as I stated, that video really addresses the seriousness of the opioid epidemic. but it also showed some positive outcomes. So if you or someone you know and love are having issues with addiction or drugs, reach out. There's help out there. People will listen. People are there to help. All right, so let's bring back some friends. Welcome back Jeannie Goss and Bill Elliott, who will talk about information about registering for future classes, withdrawing from class, honors program, athletics, the list goes on. Jeannie and Bill?
Hi, everyone. I want to talk to you a little bit today about the things that are going to come up in the near future that your students might be talking to you about as well. First thing I want to talk about is dropping or withdrawing from classes. First, there is a difference between dropping a class and
Hey, Bill,
withdrawing. Yes.
we're having a little bit of hard time hearing you. You're cutting out a little bit, so you might want to restart.
Okay.
That's better.
That's good.
That's good? Okay. Sorry about that. Usually when I have a problem with that, I ask a student to fix it for me. Because they generally know a lot more about it than I do. So, I was talking about dropping and withdrawing from courses. There's a difference between those two things. Dropping a course is what you do before a course has started. You decide not to take it, you decide to take another class, you change your mind, you drop the class, it does not show up on your transcript, on your academic record. Withdrawing from a course is a little bit different. Withdrawing is something you do once the course has started. When you withdraw, it does take an effect on things. Okay, if you're looking to get a refund for the course, generally you have within the first week or so to withdraw. Also, within that first week or so, they will not have a W on the transcript if you withdraw. After that, if you withdraw from a course, and there is a withdrawal deadline, which you can find in the schedule of classes for each class, you would have a W on your transcript. Now, a lot of people ask me, is a W a bad thing?
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
Still having a little bit of difficulty. I'm told look more towards your right.
More towards my right?
Yes.
Is that better?
Yes. Much
Okay.
better.
Sorry again. Whether or not to withdraw from a course, that can be a difficult decision. And that is something that an academic advisor can certainly help with. Sometimes withdrawing from the course is the best option. Sometimes it's not. Usually if a student says they want to withdraw from a course, it's going to spark a series of questions from me as their advisor. First and foremost, have you talked to your instructor? You know, have you talked about ways that you can improve your grade, why you're not understanding things? What can you do to make things better? Have you sought out a tutor through the Learning Center, a learning assistant through the Learning Center? They can help you out as well. And sometimes withdrawal is not the right answer. Sometimes we can still work and get some help in there and finish the course. But a withdrawal is something that happens after the course starts. Now, registering for future semesters. Now, we're in the fall semester soon, but we'll register for the spring semester while the fall semester is in progress. That's when it will start. So essentially, late September, October, we will post the schedule for the spring. We hope we might be back in the classroom by then. We don't know, but we hope. But the schedule will be posted by then. And my advice is please encourage your students to talk to their advisor at that point. Even though we can't register officially until November, we will be able to go in and build a schedule. We can talk about some important issues. For example, you know, do you want to continue with the major that you're in? If not, what else can we look at? Have you thought about transfer? Where might you want to transfer? Because that can affect some of our course selection as well. But we can have that plan very well worked out very early, and that gives us time to make adjustments if necessary. Other things to consider would be the honors program. For example, we have an honors program here at Harford where students can enroll. They can enroll as new incoming students right out of high school based on their GPA. The GPA slips my mind at the moment, but it is possible. Or a student can enter the honors program after they've started at Harford. And essentially to graduate with honors, as part of that honors program, they would have to take an honors designated course while they're here, for each semester they're here. Now, honors designated courses quite often are general education classes, so there's, relatively easy for us to work them into a student's schedule. It's a very good thing to do, not just because the rigor of the program prepares you very well for transfer and upper level courses, but also because you could become eligible for scholarships as well. Again, the academic accolade is great, but there's also some practical sides to it as well. It could make you eligible for some more money towards your transfer while you're here. Okay? All right. I'll turn it over to Jeannie.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to talk about the radio. Harford Community College does have a radio station. It's WHFC 91.1. And it really just offers some great diverse programming throughout the day and evening. It also serves as a great resource and a training tool for any of the students that are here in the media and production program areas. So something to tune into whenever you're driving down the road. 91.1 WHFC. The other thing that I want to talk about is student life. Everybody wants, to kind of feel connected, and again, this semester is going to be a little bit different, but we're all still around. There is going to be, still some clubs and activities that could meet virtually, and encourage your son or daughter, whomever, to get involved on campus. I mean, there are so many clubs and activities that they can be a part of. There's also student government that is all housed in student life. They do some different, study abroad trips. And I think they went to New Orleans. They were supposed to go to like Mississippi, all different kind of ways just to get involved, be a part of making our community a better place. And there's also the food pantry. They do a lot of different programming throughout the day. So when campus does reopen, the student center is a happening place throughout the day, especially around the lunch hour. But the student life programming really is centered to bring all the students together to have fun, and again, just feel like they're a part of something and a part of the community that is Harford Community College.
Just to throw something else in there, statistics consistently show that students that are involved on campus, campus organization or something like that, have much higher rates of retention than students who don't.
So encourage them to be involved.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you guys very much. Good times. All right, so let's welcome back some old friends to speak about successfully transferring from HCC to your four-year institution. Let's invite Dr. Lisa Tittle, Professor Wayne Hepler, Lindsay Robinson, and Professor Bill Elliott back to the stage. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back.
All right.
Evo, I'm not seeing the PowerPoint.
All right, I will
Anymore.
have it for you in a moment.
Okay, well, and everyone.
Got it.
I guess I'll start the discussion. One of the things that we wanted to mention is the power of the two-year degree and or certificate. So most of us, when we think about higher education, we think about moving on to a four-year college, going for 2 years, and then transferring those credits to a four-year institution and getting a four-year degree. And many people do that quite successfully. It's a wonderful career path. But I'd also like you to give some consideration to the two-year degree. Before transferring, it's a very good idea to achieve that two-year degree in perhaps general studies, perhaps in business, perhaps in graphic arts, whatever your area may be. It gives you a little bit more power and pull when you move to your 4-year institution. And many of our colleges have articulation agreements, which is someone else's bullet point. But having that 2-year degree really gives you a little bit more, a stronghold when transferring into your 4-year institution. Also, there are many jobs that are quite popular that only require a 2-year degree. We happen to offer four off the top of my head. Actually, I cheated a little, wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. But one is cybersecurity. A second is paralegal studies. A third is computer information systems. And a fourth is medical assistant. So that gives your student the power to go to school for 2 years. They earn a degree, they have a credential, and then they can move right into the workforce. They can be in that workforce for another year or 2 years, 5 years, and then maybe they're a medical assistant, they decide to go into nursing, and maybe they're a paralegal, they decide to become a lawyer. And they don't have to do those things, but they already have a way to earn money and start achieving their educational goals and their economic goals as well. So please consider the power of the 2-year degree or certificate.
To kind of add to that a little bit, Lisa, the type of degrees we offer, the structure of those degrees often tells us whether it's designed for employability or for transfer. So a lot of those 2-year degrees that you described are applied associate's degrees. And they're designed, like you said, to go right into employment. Doesn't mean you can't transfer, but they're designed to go right into employment. Associate's degrees, Associate of Science, Associate of Arts, Associate of Fine Arts, Associate of Arts in Teaching are transfer degrees. And I want to talk to you a little bit about transfer articulation, articulation agreements. First, the transfer planning process. When do you want to start planning for transfer? Yesterday, okay? Or as soon as possible, or as soon as possible. The reason being that the choices you make here at Harford and the courses that you take and the major you choose, of course, have a profound effect on your transfer eventually. Now, you've probably heard some horror stories years ago about how a person did an associate's degree and go to transfer and their transfer credit just didn't go with them and they were starting, kind of behind. Luckily, with articulation agreements, we don't really have to worry so much about that anymore. An articulation agreement is a binding legal agreement between two schools, which states that if a student takes a course at Harford Community College, that course will be accepted as long as they meet the minimum grade. That course will be accepted as transfer credit to any college within the University of Maryland system. Okay? We also have things called 2+2 articulation agreements, which are wonderful things. We have a lot of them with Towson, which I'm sure Lindsay's going to talk a little bit about. They are wonderful agreements, so we can literally know class by class what a student has to take before they transfer. It's entirely seamless. It's a really, really great way, once a student locks into a major, to make sure that that next step goes very, very clearly. Another thing we can consider is the common market. I'll let Wayne talk a little bit about that.
Okay, and I'll add to what you just said, Bill. Probably two key people for you students to talk to when it comes to transfer, at least two, but somebody in advising. And at HCC, we often have advisors dedicated to certain majors. So your student can be asking, who is my dedicated advisor for whatever field? Okay, that's a biggie. But also the person in the field. If you ask me in Mass Comm, what's my articulation agreement with Lindsay and company at Towson? Boy, can I tell you, because those things are hard to work out and very pinpoint, and they're very important to your student. All right, common market, here you go. This is not Europe and a bunch of countries overseas, but it may actually pay off for you. Mostly through the south of the United States, there are 4-year schools that will give you in-state tuition if you apply for a major that does not exist in your state. I'll give you one example, but there are many, and Bill certainly knows about these. In Mass Comm, for example, there's no such thing as an audio degree in the state of Maryland. You can get lots of audio training. I'll do it. You can get it here, but not an audio degree. Therefore, if you went to a place like Middle Tennessee State University, where I sent a bunch of people from Harvard, great program, not too far from Nashville, you get this killer degree for in-state cost at an out-of-state university. So something to keep in mind. That's one of the few benefits that you can get with what's called the common market. Okay, Lindsay, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So Bill was talking a little bit about those articulation agreements, specifically those 2+2. So we call them a 2+2 for a reason, right? So you typically think of a bachelor's degree as 4 years. This is a way more cost-effective, convenient, stay close to home option to go first to the community college for those first 2 years for your 100 and 200 level courses, and then finish up the final 2 years at a bachelor's degree. But those documents that Bill was referencing are going to be really important for your student if they are looking at that option and if they're thinking about transferring to a 4-year institution, because those articulation agreements are all set up a little bit differently. Towson has probably around 3 dozen with Harford Community College. It's a really popular option for Harford students to transfer to Towson. We have 9 of them at the building across the street, and I'll chat about those a little bit later. But you need to make sure you're looking at those, because the way those articulations or those 2+2s look for Towson might look a little bit different at University of Maryland or another university system school, because they articulate, articulation agreement, they articulate what your student needs to take at the community college as those specific major prerequisites to then successfully transfer into those final 2 years for that major at a bachelor's level. So if you think about a student doing 2 years of an associate degree at Harvard in a psychology major who then wants to transfer into a biology major, they can't do that in 2 years. So you want them to look at that, the first half of the 2 at Harvard in those articulation agreements, to make sure they're taking the specific courses they need to then successfully go into that major at the 4-year institution. So like Bill said, look at these yesterday if your student is thinking about transferring to a 4-year institution. One of the unique things specifically about the Toon building here across the street from Harford is that we actually only offer the 300 and 400 level courses, those junior and senior level courses, because we were built about 6 years ago in partnership with HCC. So we require our students to come to us from Harford with specific 100 and 200 level courses, so that they're then again only doing those final 2 years with us. And then back to something that Lisa was mentioning at the very beginning, the power of an associate degree, something else to think about for your student if they are thinking about transferring to a 4-year institution. If they're thinking about transferring to a University System of Maryland institution, if they have an associate's degree from a Maryland community college, they're guaranteed acceptance into the University System of Maryland school. Now that might vary depending on the major. There are screened majors that have a more rigorous screening process that they might not be accepted to, but if they get an associate's degree, they complete it, and you have to have a 2.0 to complete your associate's degree at the community college, they're automatically going to be admitted to Towson University. So that is something to keep in mind when you're talking about the power of the associate's degree. And then I'm going to talk, like I said, in a few minutes, a little bit more specifically about what we have to offer at Toon, and then how you do that transfer process seamlessly.
So Evo, before we toss it back, I'll just add to that again, the emphasis on getting the right advisor. Don't get me wrong, they're all killing themselves to help your student, but there are some who are dedicated to particular majors. Ask your student, especially if they don't know their major to start, but they change later in the game. Very normal. Ask them, okay, now who's your advisor? There's that accountability again. Okay, to help them track.
Yeah,
anything else?
I was going to say, speaking of the advisor, if your student knows where they want to go, make sure they're connecting with their academic advisor to let them know, because the advisors know about these articulation agreements and they can help them plan out their courses so that they are maximizing their time at Harford and taking what they need to take to make that successful, seamless transfer.
And that can be outside the major too. It could be certain gen eds that transfer in certain ways that next 4-year school wants. So this is why, as Bill said earlier, the earlier you know, don't feel pressured by that. But as soon as you do know, go looking for all those things from the advisor dedicated to your degree.
Yes.
Evo?
Yes. How can I help you?
How are you? Good to see you.
Likewise. Fantastic, guys. That was awesome. I'm taking so much of this in. I'm taking it all in. Awesome. Great news. So I have to say bye to Bill, bye to Wayne, bye to Lisa. And Lindsay, you don't get to go anywhere because you're next.
All
So
right.
Lindsay, I'd like to take this moment to welcome Lindsay. As you guys already know, she's with Tune, and she's going to give us some great information about the partnership that we have with Towson. Take it away.
Thanks, and I need to share my screen too, Evo, so I have this PowerPoint.
Got it. All right.
Okay, can you see my PowerPoint?
I can.
Okay, great. So as you see there, and I keep referencing the building across the street from Harford Community College. Well, there it is. It was built about 6 years ago because the transfer process between Harford and Towson students was so popular. They decided to partner together, and Towson University built this building right across from Thomas Run Road. So we are a fully functioning facility up here in Harford County. So your student, should they choose to transfer to the Tune building, actually would never have to go down to main campus. Now they would receive a one card, that's our Towson University student ID. They are a Towson student, so that would give them access to football games, the career center, the counseling center, the gym, all of those opportunities on main campus. So they certainly could go there if they wanted to, but they would never have to. They can do everything that they need here at Towson. We have 7 full-time staff people here at the Tune building, myself being one of them. We also have a director of student services. It's her job to make sure that there are student supports and different student activities, a student life here at the Tune facility. Even though we are a commuter building, there are no dorms here, so students are all living home and coming to the building. There's still a vibrant student life here during the fall and spring semesters. And then we also have on staff an academic support coordinator. So it's her job to support students in their academics, whether it's tutoring opportunities, writing support, brainstorming for a project, looking at resumes, giving feedback on that, applying for graduate school, things like that. So she is full-time here, and she is also our coordinator with Cook Library on Towson's main campus. Of course, we don't have the space in our facility here at Tune for all of the library services available, but all of those materials that are on at Cook Library can be brought up here to the Tune building, and students can pick those up in her office suite. We also have a bookstore and a cafe that's run by HCC as well. Unfortunately, not this semester because of the pandemic, but that is a popular lunch option for students during the typical semester. And now we've mentioned those 2+2 programs and the importance of knowing those articulation agreements and connecting with your HCC advisor. So main campus has a lot more, obviously, but when we built the building about 6 years ago, they brought up the most popular majors that students from Harford would then transfer into. So then you can see them there on your screen. These are the currently 9 majors that we offer here at Tune. Business administration, main campus has lots of concentrations. The concentration we offer here at Tune is the management and leadership track. We also have communication studies. That's one of our newer majors here at Tune. We have early childhood with special education, and so that works towards certification to teach through MSDE. We also have elementary education and special education, also working towards certification for that grade level. We have family and human services. We have information technology. And we have nursing in 2 different formats. So we have the associate to bachelor's called the ATB. That's actually a unique program where first your student would get accepted into Harford's nursing program, then they're automatically eligible for Tune's ATB program, and they would be dually enrolled. So they would simultaneously take classes at Harford and here at the Tune building. If that sounds too rigorous for your student, or your student just decides to get the BS later, they can do the nursing program at Harford traditionally, get the RN, and then come to Tune and complete those bachelor's level courses for the BS. We also have the most popular major is our psychology major, and then we also have a really excellent criminal justice program as well. So you can find more details about each of those majors on our website. It's just towson.edu/tune, and then click on the prospective students link. And there you'll find more detailed PDF documents for each of those majors. I have an example here for you. This is the business administration major. So it's a little overwhelming to look at first. There's lots of text on this document, but this is an example of one of those articulation agreements we were discussing. So you see on the first page, it lists out for you all of the classes you would need to take at Harvard to then be successful in your transfer to Tune and to then be able to finish up in the 2 years for that bachelor's degree should your student choose to pursue this program full time. That's something else we haven't mentioned. Part-time is of course an option as well. And then you can see there on the second page the courses that your student would take here at Tune. And of course, you don't have to take those courses at Harvard in that progression. That's just the way that we put it out there for you. You would just have your student connect with their advisor to make sure that they are hitting all of those classes and taking them when they're being offered at HCC. Something else you will notice on this screen at the bottom right on page 2, there is a name and contact information. So all of the 9 majors here at Tune have a program coordinator. So that person is the Tune student's advisor. Once they become a student here, they'll help them kind of like an advisor at HCC, plan out their coursework based on if they want to do part-time or full-time, register for the classes, and make sure that they are on track to finish it in those 2 years. And then that person is also a good point of reference for any major specific questions that your student might have. So if you want to find these documents on our website, you can find that person as well. So as far as getting to Tune, so we are a partner institution with HCC, but we are a separate institution. So your student will have to, when they get to that point, go through an admissions process and apply. And like I alluded to earlier, if they have the associate's degree, they're guaranteed admission to Towson University. They do just need to go through that application process. So there is for Tune a specific online application. So you want to make sure that your student doesn't apply to Towson main campus if they're interested in Tune. So just go, you see the link there on your screen, towson.edu/apply-tune. And then there's a $45 application fee tied with that. Now, if your student or you know someone who applies to main campus and they decide later that they want to switch to Tune, maybe they accidentally applied to main campus and want it to be switched to Tune, don't go and submit a second application and application fee. Just let myself or someone in admissions know and we can make that switch for you. Then we do also need, as a part of the application process, all official transcripts from all previously attended colleges and universities. So you would just request that Harvard submit the official transcripts to Towson University admissions. One thing I want to point out about this slide, you see it says transfer admissions requirements. And there's no request for high school transcripts or official test scores like ACT or SAT. So once an applicant is considered a transfer applicant, which is 30 credits or more of college coursework, then they do not have to submit high school transcripts or test scores. We're looking at your college readiness, and after 30 credits of college courses at HCC, we can assess college readiness based off of just those courses. So another piece of the admissions puzzle is there are some screened majors. So when you go through the application process that was on that previous slide, it's admissions to the university as a whole, but some of the majors are screened majors. So admissions to the university doesn't guarantee admissions to one of those screened majors. The screened majors that we have here at Tune, the business administration, the 2 education majors, and nursing. So I'm going to go back to that business document that I showed you. If you look at the top right, these documents will actually show you what the additional pieces are needed. So for business, they're just going to look a little bit more closely at the GPA. So of course, GPA of 2.0 or higher in that associate degree, and then also a C or above and a cumulative GPA of 2.7 or higher in those 6 specific courses. So this just goes back to how it's important for your student, once they know where they want to transfer and or what major they are interested in, they need to look a little bit more closely at the details of these things so that they can stay on top of not only the classes that they need to take, but the GPA that they need to maintain in order to be admissible into a particular major. Education, just a little bit different. Once a student is accepted to the university, the program coordinator for that major will reach out to them to request a few additional documents. There's an admissions essay, 2 recommendation forms. And then applying to the nursing program is a little bit different. The nursing department at Towson does everything in-house. So students actually would first apply to the nursing department after being accepted into Harvard's nursing program. And then the nursing department would help them backtrack and apply to Towson University as a whole. So a few important dates to keep in mind, and these of course are for Towson and for Tune, but if your student is thinking about transferring to another four-year institution, make sure they're checking now about admissions requirements and dates and deadlines so that they can stay on top of this information. So for us, we have a fall application priority deadline of December 1st. So if your student is wanting to be considered for scholarships at Towson University, they need to apply by December 1st of the previous year for a fall start. We will still accept applications for a fall start after that December 1st deadline, just the students won't be considered for scholarships at that point. And here at Tune, we actually will accept up through midsummer, January or June 15th for the fall semester. And then we do also, many of our majors have a spring start as well. And the application deadline for that is December 15th. So just submitting those application materials by that date. And then if your student is applying to spring, I know Christian will appreciate me saying this, make sure for financial aid purposes, if you're doing the FAFSA, add Towson University or whatever other institution, if applying for a spring start, add that institution to your previous year's FAFSA to be considered for financial aid at the four-year institution. And then another piece of this puzzle with the important dates, you see all these deadlines and the student might still be taking Harford classes at that point. Just submit the most up-to-date official transcript when applying to have a transcript in for the application process by the deadlines that you're seeing. And then once all Harford classes are completed, submit a final updated official transcript so that the additional courses that the student has completed are transferred into the four-year institution. So that's just a little bit we have about Tune, and I know we're going to have a Q&A. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but I also have my email address on the screen, lrobinson@towson.edu. Should you have other questions for me, or if your student wants to reach out to me, whether it's tomorrow or a year from now, interested in transferring either to Tune, or if you're thinking about main campus, I can help them get connected to someone on main campus as well about that process. So thanks so much. Eva?
Excellent. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yep.
That's awesome. All right. Let's see. Fantastic. That's great information. We're always so proud to have the amazing relationship and partnership that we have with Tune. And so thanks again, Lindsay. That was awesome. All right. So folks, that actually concludes our presentation portion of this event. Now is where we go into the Q&A session. So I have several questions here. What I'm going to do is call the person that I think could answer the question. And if any of my panelists want to hop on the screen and answer some questions, tag on, please do so. So the first question that I have is for Christian. Christian, come on down. It's a financial aid question.
Hey.
How are you? So the first question that I have is, if we completed a FAFSA prior to getting furloughed or laid off, do we have to update our information, or will the amount be the same?
So great question. You cannot go into the FAFSA and update your information, but you do need to speak with us so that we can do what's called a professional judgment, which is basically appealing the decision of the FAFSA. So please don't go make any corrections just yet. You want to speak with one of us and fill out the professional judgment form, and then we can look at your situation then versus now, and appeal and go through the process and hopefully get you qualified for more aid. So great question. Please email us, and if you explain your situation that you don't have the same income, then we will know what to send you and guide you on how to fill that out.
Excellent.
And that's finaid@harford.edu, FINAID@harford.edu.
Awesome, thank you. So our next question is for Jeannie. Come on down, Jeannie. Where are you? There you are. So the next question is, where do we purchase textbooks through HCC? Can't hear you.
There, can you hear me
There
now?
you go.
All right. Also, a very good question. Right now, the bookstore is open online. My goodness, what is the date that they can start buying textbooks? I believe next week.
It's August 3rd.
Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
And then I think August 14th is when financial aid can be used to purchase textbooks. So at this point, students can buy the textbooks online. They can see what books or course materials they would need by accessing their schedule on their ALNet account under My Academic Life. There's a little link that says view or print my schedule. And there's a link on that would show all of the course materials that are needed for that semester. So you can go through, just add to cart and purchase from the bookstore. They're doing curbside pickup at this point, a couple of days a week. There's several different hours and time ranges, and they would, I'm sure, be able to send them and ship them as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Christian, I hate to do this. There are lots of financial aid questions. Can I get you back?
I knew there would be.
You knew. All right.
I'm
So,
here.
the next question is, when will my daughter find out if she got anything for HCC scholarship?
For fall, so a lot of them are in the process of being awarded now, and the reason I know is because I'm dealing with emails from students. So the student would receive an email if they were selected for the scholarship. They would get some notification that they were one of the people selected. So if they haven't heard anything, it could mean that they weren't selected, but it also could mean that it's still in review. You will get a notification though via owl mail, students' owl mail. So keep an eye on that. And you could always inquire too.
Correct, and that's an important part too. It should be the student's owl mail that students check, not your personal email, because a lot of information
definitely
will not be sent out that way.
Yes.
I do have one more question for you. Which companies are included in the federal work study?
Oh, companies. So Federal Work Study is the name of the program, but the jobs that the student would work would be, there's various jobs on campus, and then we have a couple partners off campus. For example, Boys and Girls Club employ some of our students. So like for their after school program. So that's kind of why it's not available this semester, because of all the restrictions and during the crisis. But there is on our website, if you go to hartford.edu/financial aid, and then you click on types of aid, and then go to federal work study, we have job listings right now that you can look at, so you can get an idea of what type of positions a student could choose to work for. They choose the position, we don't select it, and then they apply for it like a normal job. They have to interview and they get a background check. So check out the website and you could see the jobs that they could potentially have for the spring, for next year, January.
Excellent. Thank you. Jeannie, can I have you back? I think you'll be able to answer this. I'm not 100% certain. So, will there be a soccer season? What COVID safeguards are in place for practices and games? I heard you might know this.
Yes. No. So yes and no. The fall sports have all been postponed to the spring semester. So there will be a soccer season. However, it's going to start in the spring. So there's not going to be any training or practicing on campus just due to the current pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. I have a question about, and this could be for anyone. Oh, actually, this is for, sorry, Christian. I need you back, dear.
Here.
Can I receive financial aid as a part-time student?
Yes, absolutely you can. And part-time is a minimum of 6 credits for people who may not know. Minimum of 6 credits, you qualify for lots of scholarships. You have to be a minimum of 6 credits to receive a loan. You have to be a minimum of 6 credits to be a work study. So yes, you can receive scholarships for that. There are programs.
Excellent. And to piggyback on that, a question was asked about non-credit courses. Is there financial aid for non-credit courses?
Yes, there is various scholarships that are available to non-credit students. So I work in the credit side of financial aid. And if your student is interested in a non-credit program, you want to talk to our non-credit department. And just even by saying scholarship or assistance, they have information for you for certain programs, apprenticeship programs. There is aid available, but you have to inquire. Same thing with both sides. You have to inquire because the information is, even when I was a student, if you don't go and find and ask, it's not really necessarily going to come to you. So it doesn't hurt to ask and call, find out, and you could either get a yes or a no. That's my advice.
Excellent. Thank you, Christian. Actually, this can be answered by any of our wonderful professors. So Lisa, Wayne, or Bill, or all three, that would be awesome. Here's the question. When my son was registered, he was told that it was a good idea to wait to purchase books because some teachers don't use the textbooks shown on the list. Are all of the books and materials expected to be purchased before the first class?
I would say no. Ideally, yes, we would like all students to have the materials before the first class, but we also know that students are waiting for financial aid to kick in, or they may be waiting for books to ship or be delivered to their homes. So most teachers, as long as you communicate clearly with your professor what is going on, I cannot stress that enough. Most teachers are very open to, I'm sorry, I don't have my book yet. It'll be here next week. And we will work with you to accommodate your learning needs until your textbook comes in.
However, and I know Lisa knows this, there can be stress showing up, finding out the book is being used, and your book isn't going to arrive for a week or two because that's how you left yourself. So I don't have any beef at all with what Lisa said. I think I would probably suggest a little differently. Put yourself in the position where you could return the book if you need to. I know that in advance, but I would suggest, yeah, get the book by day one. The worst that could happen is return the sucker. Most of us are going to use the book in class. Sadly, some will not use it as much as they should. Therefore, we tell you get the best price you can possibly get on the book so you don't feel like you wasted your money. But I think I would suggest have your book as close to D-Day as you possibly can.
Oh, and I agree with Wayne. I think if you can get your book, you should. But if you don't have your book, it's okay. We will help you. Okay.
Oh. We love you.
Yeah.
We do, actually. I mean, that's why we're here. We love your students. We love your students. So sure, we'll help them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is Bill there? Bill, are you available, bud?
Hi.
So I have a question that you might be able to answer. Do I have to take the placement test if I just want to take a PE class?
Technically speaking, all new incoming students take the placement exam. Okay, so, is it going to affect whether or not is your score going to block you from taking PE? No. Okay, but technically speaking, all incoming students are supposed to take the placement exam. Unless you have SAT scores, PARCC scores, ACT scores, things like that. Or you have a college or have a high school GPA of 3.0 or higher.
Thank you, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Jeannie? Hi. You guys are going to hate me by the end of today. So this is a simple question. I guess I could have answered it, but go ahead. How does my daughter get her ID?
Well, at this point, she's just going to want to hold off until campus reopens. Normally, students would go to the library and fill out a form, you know, show a government issued photo ID, and somebody in library services would take their photo and give them their HCC ID card. That's not happening just yet. So when the campus reopens, the students will be able to go to the library to get their ID cards.
I have another question for you. Are there any classes that are being taught on campus for the fall semester?
Very few, and they would be more of the higher level science and nursing classes, maybe a PE, but most incoming students are going to be taking the online or virtual options at this time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can add something right there, I will show you at the close a couple of things, but if you go to hartford.edu/learn-more, there is a video with myself and Dr. Tim Sherwood, our Vice President for Academic Affairs, that outlines our course and learning options for the fall. It's about an 8-minute long video, and it goes into a lot more detail about what's offered on campus and the different types of online courses we offer.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. This next question is open to anyone. I'm not quite sure who would have the answer, but the question is, can book vouchers from financial aid be used outside of the HCC bookstore? Can anyone answer that?
I can answer. I would say no. I know that the book credit has to be spent at the HCC bookstore. I know you can use it online, but you can't use the financial aid to purchase things elsewhere, like say Amazon or cheaptextbooks.com. You're welcome to purchase books elsewhere, but Patrick, did you want to say something about that? The book credits?
You finish your thought. I was just going to say, if you do have excess financial aid and choose to buy your books elsewhere, you would then be eligible for a refund, and then you can reimburse yourself with the refund money if you want that route, and if you have excess financial aid.
Right. Yes. Or if you wanted to, I'll say if you wanted to purchase ahead and spend your own money and purchase elsewhere, your book credit, like you said, would be refunded to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, guys, I don't see any more questions, but I do know that a lot of you out there are saying, gosh, I wish I could go visit the campus and see how beautiful and wonderful it is. And we would like you to do that as well, but unfortunately that can't happen. We would love for you to visit our 352-acre campus. It's beautifully landscaped. The buildings are spectacular. So in order to do that, we've decided to create a virtual campus tour for you. So I would like to present that to you right now so you can just see our beautiful campus. Hold one moment, please.
Hey everybody, my name's Kevin. I'm a Hartford Community College graduate and part-time employee, and I thought I'd give you guys a quick tour of the campus. Before I get started, I want to add that I'm going to give a description of what typically happens in each building, but it's not uncommon to have classes around campus. That said, everything is within walking distance and parking is always available. So let's get started. We'll start at the intersection of Route 22 and Thomas Run Road. As you can see from this map, which will be used throughout the video, there are 7 entrances to campus. One of these entrances is located off Route 22 near the Wawa. The other 6 are off Thomas Run Road, where we're heading now. After passing the athletic fields and going through entrance 1, you will come to the APG Federal Credit Union Arena. It's home to the Fighting Owls basketball and volleyball teams and hosts concerts, events, and competitions throughout the year. Attached to it is the Susquehanna Center, which houses the pool, fitness center, and cycling studio, as well as the gymnasiums. Next, we have the Chesapeake Center, which has an auditorium that seats more than 200 and a ballroom with equal capacity. The rest of the building is broken into offices for human resources, communications, and dining services departments. Moving on, we come to Darlington Hall, home of the nursing and allied health programs. Built in 2014, it features simulation labs, a functioning ambulance bay, and state-of-the-art classrooms and equipment for our nursing, paramedic, and other allied health students. Next, you come to the roundabout and entrance 3, the main entrance to Harford Community College. Passing through the gates, you will see Edgewood Hall on the right. Edgewood Hall houses the workforce development and apprenticeship programs, the Harford County Sheriff's Academy, and offices for continuing education programs. Edgewood Hall also has a fully operational kitchen that is used for food safety and culinary classes. As we move past Edgewood Hall and down Cross Campus Drive, we come to a recently renovated Paulson. The renovation included a new GIS lab and criminal justice lab, along with updated classrooms and technology. The rest of Paulson Hall is typically used for classes in psychology, sociology, and other behavioral and social sciences. Coming into the heart of campus, we reach the library. The library has online and in-person research assistants, private study rooms, print stations, and technology rentals. Located on the first floor are the One Button Studio, where students can create videos and participate in digital media workshops, and the Learning Center, which provides course tutoring and learning strategies. To the left of the library, we come to the Public Safety Building. Public safety officers monitor the campus day and night year-round. They're always walking the campus, are quick to offer help, and are very friendly. Moving down the path, we approach Aberdeen Hall. This is where most science, engineering, and technology classes will take place. With multiple laboratory classrooms, students are able to learn hands-on with different materials. Aberdeen Hall is connected by a glass hallway that allows the original building to merge into the newer portion. Now we are going to turn around and look back at the quad and then turn towards Bel Air Hall, which typically holds classes in business, languages, history, and other studies. The building is primarily made into classrooms and a few offices and can be entered from the quad and the parking lot on the opposite end. Next to Bel Air Hall, we have Haverty Grace, which is primarily made of classrooms and faculty spaces. While the building is 2 floors, it is the smallest on campus and has multiple places to relax in between classes. Moving from Haverty Grace Hall, we come to the Student Center. The Student Center is the hub of campus where you'll meet with your advisor and register for classes. This is also where you can find the cashier's office, Office of Student Life, and the Globe Cafe. The Globe has a large menu and plenty of healthy options. The Student Center is always busy and makes a good place to hang out in between classes. Around the corner is Maryland Hall, which finished renovations in the fall of 2019. While Maryland Hall now holds the testing center, the rest of the building is made up of offices for faculty and staff. Before we head over to Joppa Hall, I want to take us back through campus to give a little more perspective of Harford Community College. As we come down Cross Campus Drive from the opposite direction, we can see Bel Air Hall on the hill and Aberdeen Hall closer to us, with the glass walkway connecting the other part of the building. You can see parking on the right, and then we're back to the library. From the middle of campus, there are a few ways to get to Joppa Hall. You can easily walk the sidewalks or by taking the path, which is right here to the right. You can also walk or drive this way towards Joppa Hall, but for the sake of the video, we're going to stay on Cross Campus Drive and Thomas Run Road. After going through the roundabout and entering back in through entrance 4, we come to Joppa Hall. Joppa Hall is home to the arts, mass comm, music, and theater studies, and also has a complete cybersecurity and graphic design labs. Joppa Hall is also home to the WHFC College radio station, as well as featuring an outdoor art collection area featuring student and faculty pieces. Before we finish up, I want to show everyone the Toon building. Toon stands for Towson University of Northeastern Maryland. The building is located on Harford Community College property, but offers Towson University classes, which makes it easy for students to transfer and stay in the area. The Toon building is located directly across from Joppa Hall and can be accessed from Thomas Run Road from entrance 7. So that's it, guys. I hope you're able to get a feel for the college. Be safe, and hopefully I'll see you on campus soon.
I'm back. So that place looked awesome. I want to work there. Sorry. All right. So guys, that concludes our parent orientation, our first virtual parent orientation. I hope you enjoyed it. But before you go, I have one more person that I would love to invite back to our screen. Stop it, Wayne. What is wrong with you? Thank you. So, Dr. Patrick Elliott is going to come on and have some closing remarks. Patrick?
Thank you, Evo. If you could just pass me the presentation ball, or maybe I can make myself, I can do that. I want to show you my screen just to address some questions here. Give me 1 second. I didn't practice this. All right, I'm not going to show my screen, but I will just say, if you go to hartford.edu/learn-more, that's all one word, and we've shared that URL a few times during this presentation, you can get a lot of really good information for yourselves and for your students. One of the things I wanted to show is under the admissions tab on the Learn More page, there is a little chat button for online chat during normal business hours, 8:30 a.m. through about 4:35 p.m. most days through the website. So look for a little green button in the bottom right-hand corner of the page, and that's where you can reach out to the admissions folks. And also on the financial aid pages, there's a similar button. Theirs is orange, and you can connect with the financial aid team as well. So don't feel like you're left to your own. We are here to support you. You can also follow up with the staff and the email addresses that have been shared throughout this presentation. We are so fortunate that we had you here this evening, and we hope that we've helped dispel some myths, answer some questions, and provide some solid guidance for the fall semester. As Kelly showed when we first started, this is really the first orientation in a series of orientations that we're offering for our students. So coming up this week, we have some drive-through orientation, the pep rally styles, both on campus and throughout the county. Tomorrow's drive-through orientation is at 4 p.m. On Harford Community College's campus near the APG FCU arena that we just saw in the video. On Wednesday, we will be at Edgewood High School from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Doing the same type of drive-through pep rally event. And then on Thursday, we're going to finish it off at North Harford High School, the same time, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you and your students are available, please stop by. No RSVP is required to get some more information. We have some materials for you. We'll be able to answer your questions and really kick off the fall semester in a great way. Then on August 11th and 13th in the afternoon, we have virtual orientation, which your student can sign up for and participate in a virtual meeting style orientation that will take place traditionally of the face-to-face orientations we've offered. We're doing it virtual this semester because of the precautions for the COVID-19 pandemic. I think I touched all the bases that we needed to. Thank you very much. We will post a recording of this video on our website, and so it's available for you, your students, and others to catch up with. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, my name is Patrick Elliott. My email address is paelliott@hartford.edu. And the admissions team is admissions@hartford.edu. Thank you for spending a little bit of time for us. Thank you again for choosing Harford Community College. We look forward to serving you and your students in the fall. And with that, we'll conclude this parent orientation, and we look forward to talking to you soon.